Hello, Meek Meek. What's going on, sis?
Nothing much. Let's tree.
Welcome to the Let's Talk Under the Tree podcast. I'm here, Mr. Palmer in sunny Florida. We have Miss Bernadette Stanis, but it's going to be hard for me to call her that, you know. We call her Thelma, of course. I hope I don't get tongue twisted today. But it's all good. We're glad you're here. Meek, I'm glad you're here joining me, filling in for the other co-host, Mr. T. Smalls, who's out doing some work today. As you know, Miss Stanis, you was America's sweetheart for everybody. And guess what? You're still doing the same thing. It just won't die. Right. I mean, it is what it is, and we're glad that you're here today. I'm going to give you your flowers while you're living before I forget. It's an honor to have you on here, and I grew up watching you, and you never got into any controversy in public among, on TV or anything. You always had a good image and a role model for African-American girls and boys. And we tip our hat off to you before I forget. We never heard nothing about you to this day. Right. And we wanted to, let you know that. And we're glad to have you on here. And we have a surprise little video for you too.
Okay.
One of your old school fans, but we'll get to that in a minute. You know what I'm saying? All right. We're going to take it from the beginning. I know you was involved with some pageants because I've seen you on other broadcasts before talking about it. That kind of hit home back in the 70s. I'm assuming late 60s. I'm not exactly sure.
No, it was the 70s.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure.
It was the 70s.
But you ever have imagined from the pageant and your walk with stardom how it ended up today?
No, never. I remember my mom, I give a lot of credit to her because they had a pageant, but it was for older girls, it was like women, after 18. And so my mom went to Hal Jackson at the time, who was giving that pageant, and said, I think it's time for, little teenagers to have a pageant because they want to, be beauty queens too. So the very next year, he actually had the teenage beauty pageant, and I was in it, and that's kind of where it started from. I remember that Sunday when I was on the stage and everything. That's when a manager came over to my mom and said, well, we're getting ready to do a television show, and your daughter looks like she could fit in it, And he gave her a card for us to go see Norman Lear and Jimmie Walker at CBS like the next week. And we did. And I walked in that door and it was thousands of girls. I'm like, yeah, right.
Wow. Well, guess what? You won.
I won because, well, I thank God. I mean, it was some beautiful girls. And so I remember, I didn't hear back from them for about a month or so. So, after that, you just think, okay, well, I didn't get that. And then I hear back, and then they say, come to California. So we go to California, and there are only 4 girls now. So it was myself and 3 others, and we stayed for 2 weeks going back and forth with Jimmie and, doing different things, different lines, saying different things, acting certain ways. And then I went back to New York and didn't hear anything back for another month. And then they finally called and said that I got it.
Wow. That's a blessing.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
Perseverance. Yeah. That always opens.
You have to have nerves of steel in this business, and you can't really take it personal because most times when you go out to an audition, you really don't get it. You really don't. You get it like 1 out of 10, so you just have to, take it with a grain of salt, really.
Right. Did you do some dancing in the past?
Yes, I was a professional dancer. Well, I say professional. I mean, I took dance classes ever since I was 5. So my whole thing was dance. I always thought I would be, the dancer or a dancer, and never really thought I would be an actress, but a dancer.
Wow. My sister here, when she was young, and among, a lot of other young ladies, they were trying to mimic you, and they were knocking all the cakes off the countertops and The cake was dropping in the oven. I'm gonna play a little clip of you about 20 seconds what they were trying to do right here.
Oh.
Come on now, Thelma. I asked you to teach me how to dance, not commit suicide. What's the name of this dance anyway?
It's called
The freak out. That's so funny.
When you put your leg up, that took some. You had to be in shape for that.
Yes. I would always like kick my leg to hit my ear. That's what I would do.
Right. Who would write a script for someone like you? Because the character of Thelma, it seems like, you know, back in the days that when I grew up watching, I'm 51, that was a different type of acting. It felt so real and genuine that you couldn't tell, you know, me or anybody else that was just acting, because everything y'all kind of did on the show, it seemed real. Thelma getting married. You would eBay. You would Louis Gossett Jr. He was an old man. And my sister probably can relate that it seems surreal. I mean, it seems so surreal. What do you think about that, Meek Meek?
Yeah, it is surreal because, you know, back then everybody actually stayed in the projects, the ghetto, anything else, and nobody had any type of money. It's like you was robbing Peter to pay Paul. Men trying to get jobs, women stayed at home. So it was surreal. And I have to call you Thelma. I love you. And yes, I really wanted to be you. I mimic my hairstyle as you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's so funny because I studied at Juilliard. I studied acting, so I was prepared for the show. But I, too, came from the projects. I came from Brownsville in Brooklyn, New York, in the Van Dyke Projects. So I kind of really knew how Thelma should have been played. You know what I'm saying? And it was Esther Rolle really that made sure that they knew who I was, because they did not write well for me. They didn't know what to write for me. So I was doing a lot of hi mom, hi dad. I was in the bathroom, shut up JJ, and that was it. So I went to Esther that one day and I said, Mom, I always call her Mom. I said, Mom, you know, I'm getting bored. I mean, I know I could do more than this. So she said, oh, you can, huh? You know how she is. So then I said, yeah. So she said, okay, let me handle it. And after the reading that Friday, she said to the producers, I want to ask a question. And she said, are you ashamed of my daughter? Oh. And they said, no, Esther, we're not ashamed of her. They said, and then she goes a little bit over the top. She says, well, is she retarded or something? Oh, wow. What's that? You know, I said, so she says, no, I want JJ has a lot to say. Michael has a lot to say. And I want my daughter to have a voice also. So we went up to the producers. She said, go up to the producers and tell them who Thelma is. Wow. That's a blessing for Esther Rolle. Yes. It is. Mm-hmm. One of the characters on the show, a lot of kids were scared of him. And I think, you know, they kind of still scared of him. James Evans. John. Yeah. Yeah, John. I'm gonna play a little sound bite, and the reason why they're scared of him because after you guys filmed this part right here, that was it.
What's that supposed to mean? Well, you heard of the extended family? Well, this weekend you part of one, which gives me the right to extend this belt to your behind if I feel like Oh, I'd like to see that. Oh, you would, huh? Well, anything to oblige your guests, mister. Oh, man, you gotta be kidding. Come on in here. You must be crazy.
After that was it. Everybody was scared of him.
That's John. That's what James was about. I mean, putting it in, you know, getting it right, you know, right. No disrespect.
Yeah, disrespect. You have two daughters. Did your daughters ever realize you was a star? And matter of fact, let me back it up a little bit. You were one of the first Black stars that was a teenager back then also.
Yeah, I was the first Black female teenager on television.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what they really know about it. I remember when they recognized one of my daughters. I remember we were lying. I was sleeping with her, and Good Times came on like early in the morning, and
Right.
she was about 5, maybe 5 or 6, and she heard my voice. So she woke up, and I was up, and she was looking at the television, and then she looked at me. And then she looked at the television and she said, "Mom, that's you." That's about it.
Oh,
And they never ever really tripped out on any of it. They were born into it, so I guess it was just normal for them.
okay. That's a blessing. One of your number one fans is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I have to play this little clip because he will kill me. He called me like 6 o'clock this morning. He want to give you about a 20-second tribute. Here we go.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Hey, how you doing, Miss Bernadette Stanis? This is Laquan, one of your biggest fans out here. Hey, my cousin told me you was going to be on this show tonight. I said, oh, I'm definitely going to be there. I have to make a shout out. Hey, you're my first TV crush. I just wanted to put that out there. Hey, enjoy the show. Hey, you still look good. Wow. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself.
You. That's nice. Thank you very
But what's
much.
your beauty secret? Because you still look so beautiful as when you played on Good Times up until now. You still look.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I try to get good rest. I try to rest 8 hours a night. And I do a little jogging, 2 or 3 times a week when I can, and kind of just watch the sweets because I like candy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you got to watch that.
Yeah.
Moving forward, you're a big advocate. I might not even pronounce the word right. Some people say Alzheimer's, some say Alzheimer's. Depends on where you're from, I guess. But I
Well,
know
you're
you.
right. You're right.
Okay.
You're right with the second one, Alzheimer's.
Right.
That's exactly really the right way to say it. But after a while, you don't say it like that. You just say Alzheimer's. That's how I
Right.
feel, Alzheimer's, whatever,
Right.
like that. Mm-hmm.
Me and you have something in common about that. I've heard you on previous broadcasts talk about your mother, and I would like for you to share in about your experience, and I'm going to back you up to show you that we have something, similar traits, among that disease.
Well, I did not know anything about the disease when the doctor first told me that my mother had it. I said, "What is that?" I said, "I've heard of it, but what is that?" To me, it was like just a lack of vitamins, maybe, vitamin D. She was kind of low in vitamin D. So I said, "Well, mommy, more vitamins, we'll get this, together, we'll fix this." But I did not know what this thing was. There's no fixing this one. And African Americans, we get it twice as much as anyone gets it. And that was so amazing to me because I had only seen on commercials Caucasian people. So I thought it was a disease that only white people got.
Right.
And I remember when the doctor said this, it sounds very bad for me, but this is how ignorant I was about the disease. When they said it was Alzheimer's, I said, "Oh, what is?" I looked at my mother and I said, "Mom," I said, "How did you get that?" I said, "Oh, I know how you got that. You're Creole. You got some what? She got some white blood in her. Okay, so that's
Yes.
it. That's how ignorant I was about it. So after mommy passed, I had to do the research and the studying about it because I had no time to do that while she was alive. I just had to keep her alive. And then I wrote the book. And when I was doing research for the book, I found out a lot about it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your book is called The Monster of the Mind?
No, the disease is, I call the disease the monster of the mind.
Okay.
But the name of the book that I wrote about it is called The Last Night.
Right.
It was the last night of my mother's life that I told her, I said, Mom, this was really actually her just before she transitioned. I said, Mommy, I love you so much. I said, but it's not over yet. And I knew I had to do this for her because we had talked about doing a book together before the disease got so bad, you know?
Right.
But it did not work out until I said to her that night, I said, it's not over yet. And I said, Mommy, I'm going to get that book out and it's going to help people. Your dying from this disease is not going to be in vain.
Wow. I want to share a story with you. My grandmother, Miss Louise Thompson Lloyd, she passed away from the same disease. And I kind of watched her deteriorate, you know, me being ex-military. So, you know, I kept in touch with her whole entire life. And my aunt, Miss Karen Tucker, gave basically up her career to take care of her. And when I really learned and knew about this disease, she couldn't really recognize me anymore. You know what I'm saying? And my cousin Myron told me that she kept a diary. I just found that out today, and she had my name in there until she couldn't remember, you know, her memory anymore. And that's why I share that story with you, because she passed away from, you know, Alzheimer's. And I went to see her about 3 weeks before she passed. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and something just came over me and said, go see your grandmother. And so I drove all the way there, and she passed away 3 weeks later. She called me, my nickname is Poochie, so she was just trying to pronounce my name as best she could before. You know, she couldn't really remember me no more. She fought, you know, until the end. So I can relate to what you're saying about that. And my Aunt Karen, I'm going to piggyback on what you were saying. For Black people, that disease is like, sometimes, you know, we could say that the person mental stability is not right, or they are crazy, until it really was learned about, you know, maybe recent. But back when your mother passed, we didn't know a lot about it.
No.
You know, but yes. And we think something's really wrong with that person.
Yeah, we call it old timers, you know, like they're getting, you know, old. But even at age 70 is not old. And my mother was into Alzheimer's at 70, and she lasted 10 years, so she died at 80. But I'm saying it's a disease that it's very hard on the caregivers that have to care for the person. And what I used to go through would be, God, why my mom? I mean, she's such a nice lady. She didn't do anything wrong that we know about, you know, so why? And, you know, I never got the answer. And then after I was doing my research and studying everything, God kind of eased my heart by saying something. I felt like he said this to me. He said, like, your mom was like afraid, you know, she was scary. And if she had known she was passing away or dying, it would have been torturous for her. So being that she had Alzheimer's, Mommy just got up every day, happy as she wants to be, because she didn't really recognize that she had it. And she didn't recognize that it was going to cause her to die.
Right.
She just got up, and the moment to moment thing. All I know about my mom, this is funny, when she got the Alzheimer's, she wanted red lipstick. Red. I'm not talking about just red. I'm talking about red shiny lipstick. And gaudy jewelry. I mean, rings, and I'm like, Mother, you never ever wanted to wear jewelry like that or wear red lipstick. And so I made my brother laugh one day. I called my brother and said, you know, I have to buy the red lipstick and with some shine on it for Mommy and all this little fake jewelry, because I wasn't going to get real jewelry because she would give it away. And I was like, why would Mommy would want that? He started laughing. He said, because that's who she really is. Get out of here. So, you know, some things make you laugh, you know, but it's like God's told me that this was her journey. It wasn't my journey. It was her journey. And he chose to take her that way because she did not know. So she died. She really passed away in peace.
Okay. With all your success, go ahead, Meek, go ahead.
Um, besides the book The Last Night, do you have any other books that you have written?
Yes.
Okay.
I wrote one, the first book I wrote called Situations 101, Relationships, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So I wrote 101 different little, relationship like scenarios, and I had like an answer to them. And the reason why I did that is because I realized at that time I was doing a lot of traveling with different plays and stuff like that. And I met a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that are not in my state. They're all over. And they would call me and I give good advice. I was giving them good advice at least. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But I realized that a lot of people were going through the same things in relationships. So I said, well, maybe if I expose the situations, maybe it would help, so that people wouldn't get into those things, or if they saw I'm coming, they'd know how to, react or deal with it. So that's why I wrote that book. And then after that, I realized that in relationships and giving seminars or whatever about relationships, I realized that finances was a very big part of breaking up in relationships not being harmonious. And I said, well, maybe if I just wrote a basic book about, basic finances, the way we can understand it, not with all those, whatever it is there. And I did that. So the second book I wrote was about finances, Situations 101, Finances, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, that's a blessing. With all the things that you've been through, and you lost your father through a tragic, incident, and your mother, has passed away, what sustained you mentally? Because at the end of the day, you're Thelma, but you're still a real person.
Yes. Well, it started with my dad when my dad was murdered. My dad was murdered when my mother was 59.
Right.
And that was very, very hard. I mean, it took me like 5 years to adjust to that because, why? Why did that have to happen to him? And it did. It was black on black crime. I mean, it was 4 black guys that hit him with brass knuckles and hit him. He's a tiny little man, so they really hit him and caused his brain to start bleeding, and that's how Daddy passed away. Then after that, I watched my mom because she had never been without my father since she was 16 years old. So I actually would watch her, and I couldn't even believe I was looking at my mother standing there by herself without Daddy. And at 63, that's when she started with the Parkinson's, and not until she passed away. And I read some of her diaries, just like you said your grandmother had. It was the same time I told her to go to the doctor to see why, she's shaking and why her foot wouldn't move when she wanted it to move. And in the book, it said, I did go to the doctor, but I'm not going to tell the children because I don't want them to worry.
Right.
The silent generation. My mother came from the silent generation where you didn't talk much, you didn't tell anything. So there's a lot of things we didn't know. We had to find out later, and so the Parkinson's for her led right into the Alzheimer's because they kind of go together. They're on the same chromosome. So it kind of flows together. A lot of times when you have Parkinson's, you'll get Alzheimer's.
Wow, that's something serious. And Meek, I'm sure you're going to be familiar with this topic because you have a medical field background. Your mother also experienced some things at the nursing home or maybe the hospital. They didn't quite treat her right. And I heard you in the previous broadcast. I almost cried personally. I mean, and I don't like to hear things like that. Could you please share with us about that moment?
Well, she had gotten shingles,
Right.
and I had taken her to the hospital, and she was too well to stay in the hospital, but not well enough to come home and be treated with the feeding tube because she had stopped eating. So the doctor advised, me to give her the feeding tube. I gave her the feeding tube. Then I had to find a facility to put her in just till she got strong enough, to handle things on her own. I mean, handle things.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this nursing home in California, in Whittier. And I put my mother in there because it looked very nice. They told me the whole schedule of things that they're going to do. It cost an arm and a leg, which is what they do. They charge your insurance up to the, whatever. And my mother had great insurance, so they really wanted her. And so I put mom in there. And in 1 week, a week and a half, maybe, I'm thinking I'm getting ready to pick her up like that Friday, that Wednesday I call, and they tell me that she contracted something called the C. difficile disease. And when I found out what that was, there was another lady that was always there with her person. And she said, well, at night, they didn't want us to come around because at 8 o'clock, they shut it down. Now I understand why they do it, because now when they're cleaning them up or, they're washing them up or whatever, this particular facility they hired the laziest 2 people to wash these people up. They would not even use soap. And that's what gave my mother the C. difficile disease. No soap. They just take the water and run it over everybody. So whoever had it, my mother got it from that. She had an open wound. And oh my God, that's what killed her, because she wasn't at the end of Alzheimer's. That's what killed her, because she had to take antibiotics for like a month. And laying there taking all these antibiotics, because they wouldn't let me take her out because it's very, very contagious or whatever. So she stayed in there with all that antibiotics. Then it got better, and I got her out of that facility and I put her in another one. But the disease kept reoccurring, and she had to go back into taking antibiotics. So it killed her, killed everything inside, And so I say this: if you have a facility and your parent has to go in because they have to go in for a minute or whatever, if they say they close down and you can't visit them in the middle of the night, do not leave them there.
Exactly.
Wow. Man, that's sad. I mean, that's real sad. Meek, you have a medical background. Have you ever heard anything? You have a medical background previously. So have you ever heard of such things that, happen along these lines right here?
Yes, everything that she says is true. And it's so sad that sometimes people drop their loved ones off and never return. So when you do that, it's like sometimes the patients get beat on and not taken care of, just like she said, stays in a nasty undies. So I always say you must go there and visit. It should be like an open time anytime, as long, because you're paying the facility. So you
a lot of money.
Yes, lots of money. Some people even have to give up their properties.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Well, she had very, very good insurance. She had the insurance for my father and herself. So she had very good insurance, and they knew that. And they charged the insurance so much money. And for what they did to her, I just had to get my mom out of there. I didn't even have the strength to go and fight and sue them, because I was trying so hard to make sure my mom was going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? But I said, I did not do that, but I'm going to write about this, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to tell the world about it, because we have to know what they're doing in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. With all that you have endured, you've been through a lot. A lot of people probably didn't realize that. What's next for you? We want to see you with the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the stars. You deserve a star. I'm not sure if you have one yet, but you deserve one. We want to see you write some plays for some women, some little girls. Is that in your aspirations to do that?
Yes, you read my mind.
Okay.
You're awesome.
All
No,
right.
really, I do want to do that. A lot of things can be taught and said, through scripts and plays, and those are the things I want to do because I have two daughters and a granddaughter.
Mhm.
She's 5, and I, also want to talk about older women, as we age and our lives, and we do still have lives, although it's not portrayed on television or the movies as it should be to me. After you get to be a certain age in the television world and in movie world, Black actresses are not considered desirable or sexy or have no love life. I've never seen it. But my counterparts, like a Caucasian woman,
Mhm.
she can be old as Methuselah and she can still have sex, or they could show her being desired by a man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that it's off balance, and we need to put it in balance.
You're absolutely correct. What's the name of that old soap opera? What's her name? Chancellor?
Miss Chancellor
Yeah.
from The Young and the Restless.
Is she still on TV? I'm not sure.
I have no idea. I don't watch it that much, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just think that that's off balance there.
It is, but you can do it. I mean, you're the last generation, really, of the old
Yeah.
school African American female actors that's left.
Yeah.
It ain't. What'd you say, Meek?
Oh no, she's totally right.
Yeah.
And I'm at that age where I'm the older actress now, so it's like, okay, what parts do I play? I play somebody's old aunt, whatever. Of course, the grandmother, whatever. It's fine, but you got to give them a life too.
I think that you could actually fill in. You need to talk to Tyler Perry. I think you can fill in for, the next Cicely Tyson in something. You have the aura for it. I think you can do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really think you can.
Yeah, thank you.
You're on YouTube, actually, right?
I have a YouTube now, and I'm trying to get into that. I got my Instagram going, so I'm trying to move it over to the YouTube part. And I think in April, I'm going to be doing more because I'm taking completely off that month, and I'm doing stuff for my YouTube.
Good. Because we're in a social media world now.
Oh my God! You know what's so funny? It's like, I'm trying, and I think I'm doing pretty well. But I text and I do stuff like this, or like this.
Right.
And my kids do it like that, and I'm like, oh God! I said, can you show me how to do such a? Okay, mommy, just go here, go here, go here, go here, go here. And I'm like, wait, hold on. They look at me and say, give me the phone. They do it for me. So I'm saying, well, how am I going to learn? They said, they don't know how to find to sit there and for me to process. Okay, now press that. Now press that. Now press. Right. So we got to learn on our own,
Even though you miss Bernadette Stanis, you still slightly act like Thelma. What you think, Meek, in closing?
Oh,
It's in you. I'm sorry to the day. The Lord take you to
so.
Thelma. It is what it is. It was hard.
What it is.
It was hard for me to call you that, actually. But
everybody calls me Thelma, though. Everybody does. My fans, they call me Thelma, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When people find out what your real name was, we kind of looked at it with our eyes poked out a little bit, like.
Yeah, it's like, well, she's not a Bernadette.
Right. It is true. But we love you. We had a great time. Meek. Say a little small prayer for the sister. She's been through a lot. We're going to say a little small prayer in closing. Go ahead.
Lord, as we bow down, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for having Miss Bernadette Stanis, aka Thelma. Thank you for just being you and having a prosperous time on this podcast, Let's Talk Under the Tree.
Thank you, Mimi.
Amen. That was pretty
Amen.
good. We had a good time. I'm Mr. Palmer. Meek in the house. Brenda
I enjoyed it.
Thelma. Always wear your mask. If you take the shot, as I always say, pray about it or be about it. That's your decision with you and the Lord if you want to take the vaccine. But the corona is real. I always say that in closing. We had a good time and we out of here. Y'all have a good night. Let's Talk Under the Tree podcast. Moving forward 2021. We thank y'all and have a blessed night.
Good night.